Looks better.
Did you just say your hair looks better than Easy's?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I got that jet black natural, okay?
Oh my goodness.
I even put nothing in my hair. You see that lusciousness? You see the shine? That's natural.
This is a fresh cut right here.
What you put on it?
The beard is looking strong tonight.
Oh my goodness, y'all are scary, ladies and gents. Welcome.
Who has the best hair out of everyone?
Where is my shirt? Why is Negro left out all the time?
Because they can't get anything shipped to Japan. That's why we already got it returned. We got to try to send it.
Maybe if there wasn't a shitload of shipping containers sitting in an ocean, crooked in a canal, you would get your shit.
Yeah, that's the situation. All right, guys, we got a great show today. As you can see, we got our crew. We also have a special guest talking about the issues with crime running rampant in the country. He's going to be awesome to talk with. His name's Larry Newman. We'll be bringing him up after we get our intros out of the way. Please do us a favor. Share this episode. We are talking about a wide range of things. We're talking about when I made a call for real. We'll get to that, Easy. Stop playing with your nipples. We're going to be getting to a wide range of topics, including when I asked for real-life experiences from nurses. It backfired because our own people would not let nurses answer without discounting their stories, which was horrific. Well done, conservatives. We got it.
Where did I miss this?
It was on my. It's a lot. We're also going to announce the winner of the contest of the best comment. I told all these hosts that are on, I said, jump on early. Let's talk about it. Nobody jumped on early. So
what time was it?
Don't worry, Suni. I was talking more with Casey and Easy, and it's okay. It wasn't you. This wasn't your fault, Suni. And then we're going to be talking about V mandates getting worse, a lot about the whistleblower, and also I know, Suni, you already talked about it, so I want you to talk about it, the PA limiting the amount of children people can have, a bill that was being put out there. So we're going to talk about that on today's show. What's that, Casey?
Just limiting, just like the heads up we had for joining the show early from Russo.
What?
You gave me 12 minutes to show up early?
I said 15. No, I said it early. We were talking. Shush.
You know.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for episode number 69 of Truth Will Set You Free. We're going to be talking about when we made a call for real stories with nurses. It backfired because people are too much into free speech. I can't believe I'm saying that. We'll explain. We also have a special guest, the president of Missouri Alliance of Professional Bail Bond Agents. We're going to be talking about the increase in violent crime across the country starting in 2020 all the way to now, talking about the mandates going absolutely insane, even though the numbers are going down. Talking about some of the mandates for kids in California. The whistleblower, we're going to start with that topic. And also some limiting of the amount of children people can have, like we are in communist China right here on Truth Will Set You Free, episode 69. Before we bring up our special guest, Larry Newman, I want to get really quick into the whistleblower. And hopefully you guys do me a favor. Share this episode out right now. Let's get some more people going. You know what? Before we talk about that, let's talk about the fact that all of us are wearing the same hoodie besides Japan in the house. So I know that, Eric, you love talking about the gear. Tell them where they can find this.
So everybody needs to go hit awakenotwoke.myshopify.com. You need to get yourself an Unvaccinated Lives Matter shirt because right now they matter. Or you can get yourself a shirt. You can get yourself the sweatshirt. I prefer the sweatshirt. Clearly going into the colder months of the year. They're very, very comfortable, near and dear to my heart right now. I mean, you just, snuggle up in there. But go ahead and check them out. I think we've got promo code WAKE UP. We'll give you 20% off. I think we'll throw that in the comments there. So you
I
guys can
just
check
did it
that
right
out.
there. Boom goes the dynamite. So go to
Yeah, guys.
Linktree. Go to that Linktree, like you just said, because that'll have everything in it, including the website, joining the website, our shop, and the area for the unV'd stories. Whether you are unV'd and have a relative or family member that has gotten sick with COVID and died or gone to the hospital, or you had a diverse reaction, all that is there. The links to the store is there, and Wake Up is the code for 20% off is there.
Absolutely.
So simple as that. Anyways, did anybody watch any of the C-SPAN stuff with the whistleblower? I want initial reactions before we get into crime and punishment with Larry.
No, what whistleblower?
The whole reason why Facebook was down. Did you guys actually? That's a good question. Did you have social media down all day yesterday in Japan, or were you guys up and running?
No, my social media was fine.
Shut up.
It was back up. Well, it was back up by the time she came on.
Oh, because she was asleep.
Do the math. Yeah, it was the time frame she was asleep.
Well,
Okay.
Spinny, you've missed one of the greatest of the 21 debacles yet to have happened.
Oh,
Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram were out for what was it? A total of
6.5 hours.
So Q was right. Then we went black. Oh my gosh, we lost social media.
Yeah, but Q didn't say Twitter would stay up. Q didn't say all of these other places wouldn't stay up. Twitter went down for like a whole 30 seconds and then rebounded. T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T all went down for 30 seconds to 5 minutes and then rebounded. All these Q people went nuts. So like, see.
There it is. Hold the line.
There's the hold the line shirt.
Some more gear on
Thanks,
our website.
Russo.
Suni would have been losing her mind yesterday. She would have been watching all these people going like, "Told you so, told you so, told you so."
Okay, you need to get my shit together.
We can't get you packages, Suni.
I've never had issues ever. Okay. When Primetime Patriots would send me my shit, I never had problems. What's going on?
I don't know. It's still Shopify. Granted, when they were still sending you stuff that was only a couple months into the presidency, and as we can see, it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So USPS doesn't work. Anywho, all right. So we'll talk more then about the No, he's not. So we'll talk more about the whistleblower, because I think there's a lot more to what's going on there. And at first I was very excited. This whistleblower came on 60 Minutes, talked shit about all the issues with Facebook, and then bam, here we are the next day and everything goes out. And then I realized this is all bullcrap. I actually shared a post on the page, on our Be the Change page, from Zuckerberg. And for the first time ever, I kind of believe him, because I watched a lot of the testimony at C-SPAN. We'll talk about that. Let's go ahead and go straight into our special guest, however, because this is interesting stuff. It's different than we've been talking way too much about V's lately, because that's all we talk about. I feel like the V word is the same as Gabby Petito right now in mainstream media that still doesn't stop updating my phone. If somebody doesn't find this kid, Dog the Bounty Hunter, I swear I'm going to lose my friggin' mind. But with that said, we're seeing an uptick in crime. You can look at the news tonight. Philadelphia had street racers spinning around cop cars, violence going on. People are getting shot in every major city in the damn country. And crime is rising, and we're wondering why it's happening. So we have got a great guest. Larry Newman serves as the president of the Missouri Alliance Professional Bail Bond Agents, which is an organization that promotes ethics, standards of conduct, and education for individuals involved in the business of bail bonds. He also serves on the state and federal legislative committee of the Professional Bail Agents in the United States. He's got a breadth of knowledge in terms of what's going on with crime and the bail reform issues in our country. So without further ado, Larry Newman, what's going on, buddy?
Good evening, everybody.
Larry, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll ask some more questions and see if there's some stuff that we may even be able to pull from the crowd. So go ahead, Larry. Floor is yours.
Sure. I was deputy sheriff in Southwest Missouri for a number of years, and I left that and opened my bail bond business, and I work in the courts with the judges and the prosecutors and with law enforcement, and we provide accountability to the court in that anyone that's released with a promise to show up for court, we make sure that they do. And that's our job. That's what we do, and trying to provide that accountability. I served as a volunteer with probation and parole, counseling offenders for about 6 years during that time, and I left that volunteer gig because the rules come down and said we can no longer penalize those defendants that break the rules. So when you have no accountability and no penalty for bad behavior, that's what you're seeing.
Yeah. So I know you're Missouri based, so I'll ask you about this. So in Missouri, it appears though homicides were up 26.5% in 2020 compared to a year earlier, according to State Highway Patrol. So gun-related criminal charges are up over 100%, and so far in 2021, more than 8,000 firearms-related crimes, 200 homicides reported, and nearly 3/4 of them involving the use of a gun. Crime is up. Obviously, you guys are talking about it. You guys see more of it. What are your guys' discussion? I know you just kind of mentioned why. What is it are you seeing across the board in terms of policy, leadership? Why are crimes up so drastically?
Well, in Missouri in 2019, the Missouri Supreme Court justices changed the rules that local judges could enforce. And a lot of those rules had to do with a lack of accountability, releasing people on serious crimes with nothing more than a promise to show up for court and please don't do it again. And I know from my past experience in law enforcement and now working in the criminal justice system, that's just a promise and a lot of hot air. You talked about Philadelphia. The stats are there at the exact same time that Philadelphia released a large number of people from their jails. Crime spiked and continued to spike. Serious crime, felonies, crimes against persons. So it's all about accountability. The penalty, every state, federal law, the United States, has a penalty attached to it when it's passed, so that it ensures that that law will be obeyed. Well, now we've taken that penalty and chucked it out the door. So these people who are predators and commit serious crimes and against persons and society know that there is no penalty. So that bad behavior is going to continue and escalate.
Gotcha. Casey, do you got a question for Larry again?
Yeah, so I'm curious, like, from what you're observing and what you're seeing, we are definitely my observations seems like the way we're handling the judicial system and treating everybody by letting them off because our prisons are full, our jails are full, those type of things. Do you see that is adding to the problem with us not actually holding people accountable for what they do wrong?
That's the direct reason that you zeroed in on it. That is exactly the reason crime is going up. There's no penalty. Why should I not commit a crime and go steal something that I want or beat somebody up because there's no penalty? I might get arrested and taken to jail, but I'm out within a couple of hours and with a promise to go to court. And hey, there's nobody to make sure I go to court. So I back out on the street doing it again.
So just to add to that a little bit, California, I believe, made it a law that if you steal anything under like $500, it is not criminal. Is it 1,000? It is no longer criminal. It's 1,000. Thanks for everybody correcting me, but under $1,000 and it's no longer criminal. Do you see that's going to add to this and make this worse?
The law changed in California, but before the law changed, the prosecutors came out and said, we're not going to prosecute it. Yep. Look at Harris County, Texas, and down in Houston. The prosecutor said, we're just not going to prosecute people. We're not going to prosecute them for walking into your store taking $1,000 worth of your property, walking out. Police aren't going to arrest them. Prosecutor's not going to charge them. If the prosecutor doesn't charge them, a judge never sees it.
So is Missouri?
Kevin, your mic again.
Wow.
Probably can't have nice things.
Off. I'm shocked.
I'll ask a question that kind of is kind of an interim here, which is, some of these things, right? So when we have people, I'll speak specifically to California because that's where I just left and where, we had tremendous amounts of issues. And to Casey's point, they were these things that were, small petty theft that became from petty theft to, sky's kind of the ceiling interpretation, where you literally would have people walking in with calculators to say, what is the dollar amount that I'm walking out with? And they just push them out the door and they're gone. Right. So one of the questions I would have that is interesting to me, and I'm sure there's a lot of statistics around it, but knowing that you've been in the field, what are you seeing from a recidivism standpoint? Like, how many of these people are the same offender time and time again, not new offenders, not people who have rehabilitated, but like, would you say that percentage has increased substantially? Is it about the same as it's always been? Give me kind of a feel on that.
I think the percentage has increased a little bit. It historically 25%, or let me back up, 25 people in any jurisdiction account for 80% of the crime. You remove those 25 to 30 people, and your crime drops 75 to 80%. That's always been historic. That's when we had accountability. Now things are different because there's no accountability. So the number of offenders has increased, in numbers of crime dramatically increased. They commit small crimes and find out that court's just a part of their daily life. They show up, and then they go home and do what they want to. And so there's more and more people committing crime.
So more than recidivism, it's opportunistic crime and just more people being willing to do that.
I think it's both.
Okay.
You got both.
So as
Kevin, you are absolutely killing me with the microphone. He's pretty, but he's not overly smart.
I think he's speechless.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Well, I'll ask the question about, we've been talking about the lack of accountability, but when it comes to the defund the police, I'm sure you speak to a lot of police officers in Missouri area, Illinois, Chicago, all that area. What are you seeing in terms of police officers wanting to just be done with their job? I recently had a conversation with a cop. It's like, I'm done. Like, it's not worth it right now. There's too much crime. It's too dangerous. And even if I try to get involved, I get in trouble for it. So what are you hearing from the police officers as part of the quote unquote defund the police movement?
Well, I go back 20 years ago, and when I was a deputy sheriff, it wasn't for the money. I could make a lot more money doing something else. I'm seeing that more now. The police officers that are staying in the business are there because they're there to help the people. They're there to help protect the public. That's what they want to do. More and more, they're being handcuffed. They're not being allowed to do that. And it's tough, especially, like I said, every one of them can go out and make more money doing something else. So it's a calling. You're down to the people that actually have a calling to serve the public.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Kevin, let's give it a shot. Give it a shot. Go ahead. Don't touch any wires. Go ahead. No. What the hell? He's fired.
So I have another question, and I apologize if you don't have experience with this being in Texas. I'm curious what your thoughts would be. But if you go to break into a cannabis store to where it is legalized and you take a bunch of cannabis, does that change the situation?
No, it doesn't change the situation. You're taking someone else's property. That's stealing.
But if it's under $1,000
limit, it's still stealing.
If it's under $1,000 limit in that state, do you think that would fall under any drug laws of any way?
Now you're talking about federal laws, which I'm not versed in. Maybe we can get Kevin to do that when he gets out of law school.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Can you,
No. Every time you start talking, we hear you for a word and then you stop. How about we try no headphones? This is lovely, Kevin. This is why we can't have nice things. Literally, Kevin's never had audio problems, just overall brain problems. But there we go. Try it again. I think I heard you. No. All right, Kevin's fired. All right, Kevin. Good luck with that. All right, so we've talked. There's a couple things you also talk about in terms of just in terms of major cities, and we look at what's going on in Chicago, and and Easy asked you some really great questions just in terms of the repeat offenders and such. How do you see this getting fixed, Larry?
Our state legislators need to stand up, and if they don't have the laws, they need to pass the laws that force the judges in that state to follow the statutes. In Missouri, we had a Supreme Court rule change in 2019 that really created a havoc. Letting people go. You base your bond amount on whether they can afford it or not, and with our industry, it's never the defendant that pays the bond fee anyway. It's the family. We've got the family. We've got the mom, dad, the employer, friends, everybody else that helps to enforce that accountability. And the judges took that away. They said, let everybody out. If they walk into this, a person can literally steal tens of thousands of dollars of property, get caught, walk in front of the judge and tell the judge, I don't have any money or any way to get any money. And so the judge is forced to let them go for free with a promise to appear, and they're out within hours and back on the street doing what they're doing.
What's your thought process on kind of the crime and people coming through the border? I know it's kind of a federal situation or a Texas thing. And the way that we're treating that from a justice system perspective, is that kind of synonymous with the way we've just given up on actually punishing crime across the country?
I don't know that it's given up because the citizens haven't given up. There's the movement that is pushing the judges to be lenient is out there, and it's going to be out there. We have to have lawmakers, legislators, representatives, and senators who will stand up, pass a law, and that says that the court must enforce the laws as they're written on the books. There's a penalty. You commit a crime that has a 5-year Department of Corrections penalty, then that needs to be what it is. And instead of judges saying, oh, well, we'll just let you go on probation and promise not to do it again and turn them out the door the same day.
Kevin, give it one shot here. What do we got?
let's find out. Can you hear me?
It was the headphones. I knew it was the headphones.
Well, I have to figure out what's going on. I think I have something running in the background that keeps grabbing them. But so the question I have is, first and foremost, is Missouri a stand your ground state, a castle doctrine state, a make my day state? Does it have those kinds of laws?
Yes, it does.
How come? What would happen if the citizens started exercising the right to protect their property in these cities?
You mean like happened in St. Louis?
Yeah, yeah, to an extent, yeah. But
okay, well, we're looking. We look at that situation in St. Louis where a couple was defending their property from people who had broke onto their property. They were trying to get them to leave, and they wouldn't leave. We have castle doctrine, but it's up to the prosecutors and the judges. I had a conversation in court today with a court worker that counsels offenders, and that conversation was the same thing that I'm hearing everywhere else. Prosecutors are not standing up and saying, I want justice for the victim.
yeah,
And when the prosecutors aren't and the judges aren't, we're all left hanging. Castle doctrine or not, if you're in the wrong jurisdiction and you got the wrong prosecutor, the castle doctrine may not protect you.
I mean, you would think that if there was video evidence of someone taking property, getting warned, and getting shot, that even if they didn't want to, that there's nothing they can do about the fact that that's a just application of the law. That even if the district court says, "Hey, no, that doesn't apply," that there is no extent to which that case can go up at which some point it's not going to be deemed self-defense, because that's what it is. You either have the right to defend your property, your private property, or you don't. And do you think that what is actually happening here is the abdication or the destruction of the idea of a right to private property?
Now you're getting a little above my pay grade. The effect that I'm seeing is they still talk about the person's right to their property, to their home. In effect, if someone broke into your house tonight, Kevin, while you're asleep, assaulted you, threatened you, take your property, okay, they can be arrested, taken to the jail, processed, and released by the judge, promised to appear. They can go in tomorrow in front of the judge, plead guilty. The judge will sentence them to, let's say, 5 years, as an example, and then suspend that sentence and put you on probation and release you today, saying, okay, Kevin, you need to go check in with your probation officer tomorrow and promise not to do this again.
I mean, first, it would be very hard to get a dead body in front of a judge. Because,
I'm not advocating that, okay, but
well, no, if someone breaks into my house and assaults me, they're not getting out alive. That's my right as an individual. My right as an individual, if someone is going to violate my property like that, I have every right to take whatever step I deem necessary to defend my right, defend my life.
Stop
but that's what it's coming down to, though, is that people are forgetting that very fact. This is my property. You do not have a right to my property. The question is not to be asked of me, is your life worth the $150 or $200 worth of stuff you're stealing? That's the question you ask yourself. Is my life worth this theft? Because that's what's on the line right now. If I went into that thinking that it was my responsibility to make that decision about my own theft, it would be a lot higher, because you start to realize, wait a second, he has every right to put a bullet in my head, and that's his right. Therefore, I'm the one now saying I thought that this was worth my life. And I think
the people that protect you, the people that are in the system to protect you, is the prosecutor. They prosecute the offenders on behalf of the victims, whether it's an individual or if it's society. And then it's the judge who sets the sentence. So a combination of prosecutors who refuse to prosecute this case, or if they do prosecute it and the judge deems to be very lenient and say, promise to do it again and I'll let you go. Those are the two people in the system that are there to protect us. If we lose them, if they deem that they are not going to enforce the castle doctrine, as it's called, then who do you turn to?
That's hopefully we have lawyers within the system that are going to be willing to take that case on, because so long as castle doctrine is law, you just take it to the next level, wherein it's if it is law, there's nothing they can do about it. And thankfully, that's how it's supposed to work. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to necessarily be the case anymore that those within the judicial system themselves. Although there is, for everyone watching and wondering, what happens if you take it to the next level, Donald Trump did make it a personal point of his to appoint as many legitimate constitutionalists as humanly possible within the judicial system and fill those holes. So
yes,
we do need to understand that there are judges in place to defend us.
Yeah, so one of the questions I wanted to ask of you, Larry, is if you kind of have a pulse on this. Are the judges who... And to your point, this is both a prosecutor and a judge problem. We have prosecutors not willing to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law, and a lot of that, I think, is driven by budget restrictions, resources, and just kind of the like. But one of the questions I wanted to ask is, in your opinion, is there a difference based in any sort of way that you can calculate or see, or even perceive, maybe is the better way to look at it, is, are there a difference in the appointed judges versus the elected judges and their willingness to uphold the law in their courtrooms?
Well, your county, circuit, and district judges, your local level judges, are elected judges.
Right.
And I will say, and all of the judges that I know really would like to get back to where they have the ability to set some decent sentences.
Would it be?
Now, when you get
Go ahead,
to
sir.
the state Supreme Court, those are appointed positions. Okay, and there's where the problem lies, because when the Supreme Court justices change the rules are handed down to all of the circuits, and the circuits must obey.
Thank you. I appreciate you pointing that out, because that was kind of one of the points that that concerns me most. Is you have prosecutors who are working off of public budgets, who may be constrained for resources when it comes to prosecuting, and secondary to that is that the elected judges, although are elected to uphold the law, are sometimes constrained by the circuit court judges that are appointed, not elected. And I think that's an important distinction to make, just because sometimes people don't understand how people arrive at conclusions in court cases. And when you have to work off of a statement written from a circuit court judge that was appointed in a county where you're basically your hands are bound now as a judge between what the circuit courts want and what the people who elected you ultimately want. I wanted to kind of just draw that linear picture, because I think people have some misunderstanding sometimes of how the judicial system works, particularly in the prosecutorial arena.
The most of your elected judges, and I'm going off of my experience here, most of my judges in the Southwest Missouri area are Republican judges, and they want to uphold those statutes, and they want to enforce the law and deliver the penalties that the law calls for. But they're restricted by the Supreme Court justices in Missouri, who are appointed by the Missouri Bar Association. They do have to be signed off on by the governor, but the governor is definitely on the same side as we are. He's a former sheriff, so he sees the same problem that I see. I've had many discussions with him on that. So the Missouri plan that was touted to be so great has turned out to be in a state that is 75% of the legislature is Republican. All of the Supreme Court justices are liberal Democrats, and so you don't get the ability to oversee those justices at the ballot box. So that's why I say this comes back to the legislature. The representatives and senators can stand up and say that we're taking away the viability of the Missouri Supreme Court to set rules that do not conform with statutes. That's what needs to happen. The legislature needs to stand up and take control.
100%. And I'm curious on your perspective. Ever since privatizing prisons and actually pushing that out of our system, do you think that has been more of the issue in us not making a logical decision and just making a quick decision around money? And this, a lot of credit to Suni. She kind of triggered that in her comment there, but there's no money in rehabbing people. But if we keep that prison pipeline going and keeping that money flowing, do you see that as influencing the decisions from the judges, because they could be influenced by alternative means?
I don't know that would influence the judges. Your original question to me was how do we get this back on track, unfortunately, it's going to take a lot of prison space, because we have to prove to these people on the street that if they commit a crime, if they violate state statute, they're going away for a while. And where are we going to put them? That is a definitely large obstacle that we have to overcome. But now we're back to the legislature again.
I was going to say another big part of the issue is the amount of crimes that people are actually able to be arrested for is a lot of times a huge issue. So, you know, you have things like victimless crimes, which is an oxymoron, and it's at its very core, but people are still going to prison for these things. Why do you think it would be better if the prosecution just decided all we're going to prosecute are violence against people and property crimes? Because, you know, non-violent, you know, victimless crimes no one should be wasting their time on that kind of stuff.
Well, that's not working so far.
Yeah.
And
there's a victim in all of these.
You may want to call it an oxymoron, but a victimless crime is there is no such thing. If it is a crime, if there's a statute and it is a crime, the victim is either an individual or society.
Well, a lot of times,
every crime that's in the statute has a victim.
I disagree with that, though.
Yeah, no.
Because a victimless crime. So if someone is caught, let's say someone is caught smoking cannabis here in Utah, and they do not have a medical card, and they are just caught smoking it. Now it's a crime, but they harmed no one but themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a statute that you can't possess marijuana?
Well, that's
but there's no victim.
Then there is a victim. It is society.
Well, no, because at the end of the day, the victim is the person whose life is going to be ruined. But that's the thing, is that we have prosecutors that are overworked in legal systems where they don't, even if they wanted to, there is not enough time in the world for them to actually address these crimes. I know that for public defenders, they get on average about 11 minutes per docket that's placed before them. That's right. If you get a public defender, you get 11 minutes. How much worse is it going to be when you're looking at the prosecutor side, where their responsibility is actually determining what should be charged, what should actually be viewed as a crime? So if the only victim you can point to is me putting something in my body, which, oh, by the way, is the whole debate over the V thing, how putting people in jail for marijuana is just going to add an undue burden that for every person that's being prosecuted for marijuana, that's another person that can't be prosecuted for theft or can't be prosecuted for battery or something that actually needs to be focused on. It seems to me that prosecuting that marijuana crime is actually a bigger harm to society than allowing it to be. And so maybe looking at what's being punished.
Well, I think there's something to be said about striking a balance, right? So each state has its ability to make its own legislation. I think there are certain laws that we can look at now that, particularly, these prohibition style laws, we know that they are at best a cash grab, right? And that is the unfortunate part of it, is that the hardest hit victim is typically the person being prosecuted in that circumstance. Now, I think one of the things that is extremely important to stress, that I think Larry is kind of getting at, is that when you have people who think it's okay to steal, rob, cheat, break into, harm other people, I think we need to be very tough on those crimes right now. I think and Larry, you're absolutely correct me if I'm wrong in surmising, but there is petty crime that I think we can all agree that there are, particularly like with cannabis laws and, like I said, these prohibition style things that are absolutely cumbersome on our system, and they create that opportunity for free market enterprise, particularly in the prison system, that encourages kind of what Casey was talking about, as a pipeline to prison. But when it comes to hard crime, when it comes to people committing gun crimes, let me be very clear: gun crimes are different than gun use. And I want to speak very specifically, like when you have assault, you have battery, you have theft, You have crimes that truly do impact, whether it's a business or an individual, but truly have an impact outside of the individual. That it is incumbent upon us as a society right now to be hard on those specific penalty crimes. Now, again, I will limit that debate to I disagree with it from a prohibitionist standpoint. I think that drug crimes are probably one of the only areas I can point to that you're doing most harm to yourself and to relatively no one else. And that's because of a market solution that is not in play right now. But everything else, I believe we do need to take a hard stance on.
And I just want to clarify real quick. The point I'm making isn't that weed itself should be legal. The point I'm making is even if weed itself is illegal, a prosecutor can only look at so many cases in a day. If there's 100 crimes and a prosecutor can only look at 25 of them in a day and actually do something about 25 of them, well, if a third of them are where the only person that's actually getting harmed is the person themselves, cutting that out makes it significantly easier for the prosecutor to actually be able to pursue those crimes that really do need the toughest of punishment. That's the point I'm making from a pure numbers perspective. Would it make more sense to start looking at punishing the crimes with the victim versus the ones where the victim is the self?
Well, okay, there's a whole lot there to go through, guys. But let's start with this. If we as society, as you and I, as voting members of society, send our legislators up there and say, hey, we don't want to prosecute these low-level crimes, these nonviolent or no victim crimes. So get to your state capital, take that statute that makes that a crime and get rid of it. Ease that up on the prosecutor. That eases up on the prosecutor. If it's no longer a crime, he can't prosecute it. So take that away. Now, as far as the gun question, it doesn't matter whether it's a gun, a knife, a baseball bat, a piece of chain. If you're going to kill somebody, you're going to kill somebody with whatever. So the issue about assault, which is the attack on someone, is that a serious crime that we're going to put a stop to, or we're going to let the guy back out on the street so that he knows that the next time he does it, hey, he can do it worse. He can kill somebody and it's no big deal. So that's kind of where we're at. But from the law enforcement perspective, my background is, there was low-level crimes like smoking marijuana. Okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. If it's not a crime, then if you don't want it to be a crime, if you don't want the prosecutor belly down with all those cases, then the legislators need to eliminate that from the criminal statutes, and it's gone. So now you've solved that problem. So
yeah. I have one last question, if you could, because you brought up the Republican judges in your area from a partisan level, and then we'll wrap up this segment. From a partisan level, you mentioned it's obviously a little harder on crime if they are conservative judges or Republican judges. Are you seeing that in the conversations in this across the country? Is that just kind of the way it is right now, where the Democrat judges are light on crime and the conservative judges are a little bit harder on crime, which will clean up the problem that we think that we have? Do you see a big partisan split?
No, not at your local level. And I could talk about all of the judges that I am familiar with and that I know that I work with on a daily basis. I can't talk about those judges in different parts of the state of a different political philosophy. All I'm saying is that politics needs to be out of it. If it's a crime, sentence them. They serve their full sentence. And if that doesn't work, then the legislature needs to get back to work.
Actually, then let me follow that up real fast, because that brings up the better point. Politics should be out of it. Then the question becomes, why has politics been brought into the judicial system when it should not be? Why do you think that? What do you think the purpose behind that is?
You're getting into some deep water. from a national level, I can't really speak on that. I can talk to you about what's going on in Missouri, and places around the nation. But up at the atmosphere where you're talking about now, I don't have an answer for that. I know that the information that gets fed to judges at their conferences is definitely a lenient, very lenient, very progressive, liberal attitude. So they come back and they've heard all this. And then when I sit down with a judge that I've never met before and I explain to them, or a legislator that I've never talked to before, and I sit down and we explain the criminal justice system to them so that they can understand it, they say, oh, I get it now. Okay, now I understand why you're needed and why we need to get tough. So the information that they're being fed in places where they go for training is a big problem.
I think that was a good answer. I know Suni's in agreement. She's we've been in the private chat, and she just thinks it's. I mean, this is the issues we have with the judicial system is all about issues with money, people trying to keep their jobs, trying to be elected, and just drastic flaws. And it's not just partisan. It's this new woke culture being entered into the judicial branch of this country, which is horrific. Larry, you have been fantastic. Do you have any final words before we go to our next topic?
You guys are great. I'm very impressed. Keep it up.
Well, thank you so much, Larry. And again, Elliot always sends us great people. So thanks for being on the show. Enjoy, and we'll hope maybe catch you another time. All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a great
Take it easy, Larry. Thank you. You too. Bye, Larry. Bye, Larry. That was good stuff. Elliot, I don't know how Elliot found me, but he always finds really, really good people. So we're going to get moving straight on the show because we don't want to be here much more than an hour 15. So we got about 30 minutes to go through stuff. Kick it, and whip it. I don't even know what that means. So here's what we got, guys. First off, I want to make an announcement. We officially have a very fun new shirt on the website. Besides the hoodies of the unV'd Lives Matter, we also now have, that's right, something else that I will find. There it is. Here we go.
Jeez. Being slow.
The Let's Go Brandon. That's right. If you look a little bit more, we've got the underneath it. It's FJB. You guys probably, if you have seen some of the Lions Not Sheep, you know what that means. So it have all five of you. Suni might not. She probably doesn't see American.
Surprised.
Do you know what Let's Go Brandon means, Suni?
No.
Oh my! Are you serious right now?
I mean, if I don't know about it, then it's probably not that important.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Okay, so before we get into it, if anybody wants to order these, the Awake.woke site, and then do the 20% off coupon code of Wake Up. So I'll put that in the comment box below. But somebody for the love of God, explain to Suni.
No, Russo. I posted the video on my Facebook. It's much easier. Go to my Facebook, pull it up.
We're gonna get copyright stuff. We can't.
What is it?
No, you won't.
Like,
no,
what
you
is
won't.
it? Just paraphrase.
It's a funny video from NASCAR this last weekend.
All right, hold on.
The driver, his name is Brandon.
Shit.
Suni's like, that explains why I haven't seen it. NASCAR.
Well, it made national. What page is it on? Or did you put
just
it?
My page? Just the one with the black flag. And if you scroll back, it's right there.
Oh
I posted
it yesterday. Making it so hard on me right now.
Oh my gosh, you Mac people that complain about everything.
Or you could just put it up for me for F's sake.
Oh my
jeez.
Yes.
Again, that's what she said. Jesus.
Here, copy link. It's in the private chat. I already did it.
There we go. Much better. There you go.
Man, you Mac people drive me nuts.
Come on.
I do it.
Come on.
People, Casey.
You know,
Who is Brandon?
Yes,
he is a NASCAR
question.
Driver.
I don't think he knows who he is.
It's okay. No one needs to know who he is. All you need to do is listen to the audio of the video.
All right. Hold on. I get it. I'm getting it. Here we go. Share audio. All right. Let's go.
Thank you to all of our partners. Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon. Brandon, you told me you were going to kind of hang back those first two stages and just watch and learn. What did you learn that helped you there in those closing laps?
Oh my God. It was learning how each line did.
Do you understand now, Suni?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Bobby
won't be buying that
Sauce.
shirt. I'm just saying.
Bobby Sauce beat me to the punch. I saw him on his website. I was like, bro, we were already in the process of making it. He goes, go for it. Just go and get another one. Just go for it.
Like
Make
my
more.
favorite thing about that is I guarantee you Brandon was hearing it right, and the commentator was like, they're saying let's go Biden. Let's go Brandon. Like, no.
Oh my God.
No,
So
they're
good.
not.
So if anybody wants a fun shirt, because this is another one of those shirts that, like, if you see somebody in public, they're going to know, and they're going to be like, you're one of us. I gotcha. Okay. See, I got to defend the newscaster, because, before we got on here, Casey was talking about it being, get like the epitome of gaslighting. I'm going to disagree. Kevin was. I'm going to say right now that as somebody that's been on microphone in front of a crowd like that with thousands of people, when all of a sudden you make a mistake like she did, because she might have thought it was Brandon. She's in the moment, she's cameras on, earpiece in, and then once she realized, she's like, oh, listen to the crowd, and then it was dead air and F Joe Biden, and legit she panicked in her head and she found a way out of it. Thank God his name was simple like Brandon, because if it was anything else, she would have had nowhere to go. It would have been like, oh, I think they're saying they like Biden. I don't know. So I think she spun out of it incredibly well, personally. So.
I still wish his name was Zach. It would have been hilarious. Like, how do you get out of that?
One of the commentators in the booth was like, no, Carissa, they're definitely saying something else. Yay for you. Back to you, Bob.
So anyways, here's the shirt. If anybody wants it, go to the website. Good talk. Let's go, Brandon. I don't know how long we'll have that out there, but it'll be fun for a little. Oh my God.
I like that one.
I think it's hilarious. I love it.
We're gonna get that going at our homecoming game this week.
Yeah.
You better.
I don't know. I've seen some of the kids on your campus. They look a little.
Somebody else stole some shit from us today. It was great. She just tried to walk off with our sign.
I'm not gonna lie. From a logical perspective, nobody won that argument. She just she finally said, "Screw it, I'm taking your sign." I will talk about that later in another conversation. But
that's another thing.
Yeah, let's move on to. So let's go back to this whistleblower. I'm gonna explain it to Suni, because I think this is super interesting stuff right now. So the whistleblower came on 60 Minutes. Let's break this back down. Whistleblower comes on 60 Minutes. She talks about, and this is where I got engaged. I was like, oh, she talked about that they trade security for profits. They don't care about the individual's security. And that was what stuck on me. I was like, a whistleblower is getting them. Bam. And then the next day we wake up and Facebook is, 10 a.m. Central Time to almost 5 p.m. Central Time. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp is out. And we're all going, wow, they're really trying to clean some shit up. We thought it was going to be 30 minutes, 20 minutes. We didn't know. For that long, and we forget, it's not just social media. A lot of our apps and sign-ins are through Facebook. They have so much control over our daily lives. So this happened. We're thinking this whistleblower finally did something good. And then if you really listen to her 17-minute segment, all she's talking about is how young girls, she's essentially redoing the whole social dilemma, but then really hinting hard at the need for censorship and government interference. On top of it, guess who liked this woman's testimony, which is when I was like, oh shit, we're screwed. Hillary Clinton and Jen Psaki applauded this woman, and I was like, oh, this is all part of they're playing third dimensional chess that we thought Trump was playing that whole time. And in all reality, this was a perfect setup. She was already in front of Congress today, 48 hours after she went on 60 Minutes, already in front of Congress, and they're talking about changing plans and mandates and all this stuff. Crazy. Thoughts, anybody?
I mean, when Psaki hits the like button, it's like a Psaki bomb. What's about to say about that?
I want to know what Suni thinks. No thoughts?
She's not the best color man in the business for nothing, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, like, I don't know. This is not anything we've never heard before. Facebook had to sit in front of Congress before to ask to answer for selling our information to other companies. She just came out and reinforced what we already knew, and she's pushing leftist agenda.
She's pushing leftist. I think she's pushing the leftist, but this one's a big deal because it's at a point where how much more censorship can the right take on Facebook anymore? And honestly, I almost think, based on Zuckerberg's letter, which again, it's very long. I'm not going to read it. It's on the Be the Change page. He wrote it about 20 minutes. It came out 20 minutes before our show started. Honestly, I almost feel like Zuckerberg is like, I've been playing your game this whole time, and now you're going to absolutely destroy what I'm doing. Like, I can't be pushed much further, is what I was reading in that. And I was like, I almost think that Zuckerberg is not the evil one in this. I'm going to be told that's an unpopular opinion.
I'll tell you right now, she is put in there as a plant.
Oh, 100%.
She was put in there as a plant. She came out and she tried to explain that she exposed information that everyone didn't know, but everyone did know, and tried to play on the feelings of all of our congressmen that know nothing about technology, that know nothing about anything that we're living in right now, along with the elderly and older people in our society taking advantage of it. Because who watches 60 Minutes? Is it the younger generation that would be up on technology? No. And so when you start looking at all of the whole picture, it was all a game plan. And if you watched her interview and you just saw her body language, you would see that from right there out the gate. Like, I was all in. I was happy about the whistleblower. When we were talking about it in our private chat, I was super excited. I got off of work. I went and watched it instantly. No, she was a plant. It was all set there just so Facebook and social media can back and reinforce their community standards and make them more strict. That is exactly what this is going to do.
You got to look at this completely. You got to look at this from a different perspective, though. These are businesses first and foremost, and what the left is pushing for is pushing pushing consumers off of their product. It is destroying it is going to end up in the long term reducing their potential business. You start cutting off so much of what the conservatives can do, they're going to leave your platform, and you're going to be fueling your competitors. You're going to be giving your competitors a niche in the market that they can fill and monetize and take over, just business wise. Of course, Mark Zuckerberg is going to get to the point like, hey, at what point are you going to leave me alone? Because I've got a business to run here, and you're trying to run off like 50% of my business.
And his stock dropped $7 billion. So it's not just his money. He's looking at $7 billion lost in 24 hours. It's not just his money. It's the shareholders. He has to look out for the company. And honestly, I think that's where he's like, why are you continuing to bury me when I have been doing everything the government wants, which we all know is complete and utter bullshit. I think that I can't believe I'm saying this because I read it 3 times. I feel like Zuckerberg is actually the moral authority on this one, sadly enough.
Well, if you actually listen to his previous testimonies, he's been very adamantly free speech in a lot of it. The background stuff that Facebook has done has been pretty crap. But at the same time, he himself has very vocally been pro-free speech, which is why, to me, what Facebook's been doing has been like so shocking to me, because I'm like, I hear what he says. This man clearly understands the value of a free speech and open market of ideas. But something else is going on behind the scenes. And I think it's getting to the point where he's like, look, from a business perspective, we're about to cut the head off this beast.
I'll have to look into this. What were you saying, Casey?
So my thing when we're looking at this, like, I'm not giving Facebook it out here either. Like, they're both in it. Like, I don't care if you're going to lose 50% of your market, because guess what? You have your best friends, Apple and Google, that will shut down any competitor that came around that we just had. So no, like, Facebook is still in this. Like, this is.
I get it. I'm not saying they're not. I think sometimes, I don't know. I think we're all at tipping points right now. And I think watching the shill that this woman is and watching how polished and perfect she was in front of Congress today, I was like, oh my God.
Look how horrible Facebook represented in front of Congress both times. Horribly.
Well, Zuckerberg's a horrible speaker in front of people. I mean, he's terrible.
Right.
But this and watching the ultra left people praise this woman because and the way that they're praising her is like, see, you know what? This is where we can come together and realize there's some things wrong. No, because all that more mandates and censorship are going to do is make your life easier, our life harder. Because we're not going to be able to have speech. So you're essentially saying, I like it. She's realizing that something is wrong. More needs to be done. We need to censor more about how people talk poorly about the V because it's killing everybody, which statistically I had new stats today from Fauci that helped me on CNBC. But regardless, like people, the fact that everybody is applauding this, it's like you have to pay attention to the syntax and nobody's doing it. So anyways, all right, we can be done talking about that. I think the whistleblower is a shill and a plant.
All whistleblowers are shills.
I don't know.
How many whistleblowers have we had come out and nothing changes? Like when people say whistleblower, I'm like, next. Congress ain't gonna do shit. They still ain't did nothing about Snowden. Snowden said all that stuff. They came out with the movie, and then what happened?
Well, what are people?
Nothing.
But what has the American people, done since they have got the information from Snowden? You see more cameras covered. You see less technology, modern technology being used, and people reverting a little bit back to where you don't have those things. You have less people not putting Nest or Alexa and Siri and those things in their houses because of stuff like that.
But so they had Samsung.
I don't care about the
LG.
government. I'm talking about Americans, what they are taking and doing. Like it's declining. It's declining.
Okay. Let's get into, and we'll get back to it just with whistleblowers because Project vigilance had some interesting stuff with the V. But let's talk about Suni. You know more about. I've seen it, but I have not been able to cross-reference it. I don't know if you guys have the bill or the tweet from the guy in Senate or Congress from Pennsylvania talking about introducing a limit of the amount of children you can have in a bill in one of their bills to 3. Suni, I guess you have it pulled up right there. No, looking for it. So, anyways, does anybody else know about it? I know Suni mentioned it on her show. I've been looking into it. I can't find a ton of details except for the fact it looks like they're literally trying to limit the amount of children to 3. Has any of you guys?
They're trying to counter what Texas did with the abortion thing, and they're like, okay, well, since you want to say we can't have an abortion, or you're going to put a ban on that, then we're going to put quote unquote a parity bill and say that men have to get a vasectomy after 3 children.
Yeah.
What? So you're telling a man he can only have 3 kids? And this is the actual bill. Let me switch it so I can zoom it in. Man, these people are bad shit crazy.
That's nuts.
Bat shit crazy.
There we go.
So here's the actual, I'm assuming this is like a post he received, but this guy said he's going to be introducing legislation that will require all inseminators, not men, inseminators.
Inseminators.
Okay, because women can inseminate too, but we won't even get into that.
Can we create a parody of the Terminator and call it inseminators? I'll come again.
That was such a dad joke. Undergo vasectomies within 6 weeks of having their 3rd child or 40th birthday, whichever comes first. What?
I
don't understand how this counters.
Wait, scroll down. It actually said they're actually going to be giving rewarding for reporting of the proper authorities. First off, I don't think this will ever pass, but the fact that this is even being brought up should just absolutely terrify people. Let's be very clear.
So I was having an interesting conversation with my parents today, right? Because I think a lot of times, particularly with their situation, they're retired very comfortably financially. they kind of look at everything that's going on and say, well, it's just nonsense. It hasn't impacted me personally in a huge way. So, I don't get what the concern is or why you're so, hell bent on being, a part of this conversation. Like what is the reason sometimes? And these are the reasons why, because every time you turn your back, suddenly they've taken 8 steps in a direction that nobody ever. This is exactly. It's give an inch, take 10 miles at this point. And so now you have ridiculous responses to rational thoughts. And this is what's turning my head all of the time. Just, I feel like I'm getting whiplashes. I'll look here in this direction for 1 second, and by the time I have an opportunity to go back and try and understand what they were alluding to begin with, suddenly the goalpost has moved so far off the field that it's unattainable, but for the entire society to completely revamp itself and become something that it's not. And so, in line with that thought process, we needed to be having this conversation 20 years ago. I think a lot of it starts, honestly, I'll go back to the Patriot Act. That was one for me that I can point to with a definitive finger point and say, that was a day when our rights changed in this country. And whether it's for the good or for the bad, we can debate that till the cows come home. But it is a day in my lifetime that I know of that the laws changed completely. And now here we are. You can look at some other things, but it's progressive and it moves fast. And there isn't really good checks and balances on it. Some of it is because of the courts, like Larry was talking about.
Yeah, it moves fast. Casey, go ahead, give me a second. It moves fast, but it doesn't. It's 20 years in the making. And honestly, you say, why don't we talk about? There was no chance this would ever be. If you would have told me 20 years ago that some guy that actually is serving his country in the position of office of any kind would make a statement like that, I would have told you were high on drugs. Like, I just don't think there would have ever been a consideration. This should have been something that we would have said 20 years ago, this person would be impeached. Casey, go ahead.
So let's just go back and look at how our government has been functioning for years. And this is alluding to a little bit of what you're talking about, Russo, is some of these bills look extreme at first. And then another bill that's not as extreme, as I'm using air quotes, it comes up and they keep inching forward and forward and forward to try to convince people, hey, it's not as bad. It's not as bad. That's what they keep doing. This is why paying close attention to any of these bills that come up and voicing that you are very against them to your legislature, whether it's local or congressional, is super important, because this bill is setting the stage from 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah,
this bill is doing
5. I think we're rolling down. It's like a snowball going down a hill. I don't think it's 10, 15. I think it's 2 years, 3. I think we are getting just ridiculously close to this stuff. Suni, go ahead and talk about. I know this is what you were saying, that this is a direct response to. Go ahead and mention this.
Well, this is what happens when people have a lack of response to when Texas actually stands up for the rights of unborn children. This is what happens when people are like, I can't touch this issue, okay? And then you have somebody who is very extreme that's like, look, this is for reproductive rights for cis women, trans men. How the F can trans men have babies or get impregnated is beyond me, but we'll keep going. Non-binary folks, you're not a man or a woman. So how in the hell are you affected by a man impregnating you? This is what happens when we don't talk. When people get so scared to say, hey, I don't believe in you murdering your child, so I think this is a good bill. You know why? It forces women to close their legs. This is not a form of a birth control for you. I'm sorry. Don't have sex. You want to punish men because you got to close your fucking legs? I'm sorry, but this stuff irritates me, bro. Now you want to bring in all this other bullshit, and this is literally because the lack of support for what Texas did, period. I don't care what people say. I'm scared. I don't want to talk about that. I'm not a man. Bro, Now they're trying to tell you what to do with your balls because you didn't want to step up and talk about it.
That's
Just
another.
saying.
That's another T-shirt. Now they trying to tell you what to do with your balls. I'm gonna put that on there. Suni Blank's original.
You're 100% right, Suni. It is a hedonistic. Hedonism is what preludes every single fall of every great society. What we are going through right now is it's the signs of a crumbling society. Just because we want stuff to be legal, as in not punishable by death by the government, doesn't mean that we are encouraging the practice within our society. And we should be very vigilant as to the types of hedonistic tendencies that will bring down your society. When pleasure becomes the most sought after virtue, you're done. It's over. Anything can be justified in the name of pursuit of pleasure. And it's the very easiest indicator of a crumbling society.
So for those in the very back, what does vigilant mean?
Staying alert, staying aware.
Yeah, you've got to be on the watch for it. I'm not telling you to be looking for it everywhere, but you have to be able to. Being vigilant means you're going on a walk at night, and when you see the big bad CRT monster coming from the corner, you can notice it before it gets too late, right? You can notice it before it's up in your daughter's ear screaming about how she being white is a racist, and if she doesn't want to admit it, she's just internalizing her racism. Like, being vigilant means knowing the signs, knowing what to look for, and calling it out when you see it.
Yes.
Yep. All right. And I think this relates to this part because I was going to spin into this. Biden is telling banks to report. So he is actually increasing the ability he wants more of the ability for the federal government to get into the IRS and see pretty much anything that goes over $600, which the IRS has already obviously has. They've got almost everything. But for some odd reason, he wants the federal government to be able to see this, investigate it, and utilize it for statistics, I believe. I don't know what he's saying. It goes along with the whole concept of reproductive rights. And this is, the other one, Rob from Rab or whatever, he's trying to counter something else. Biden's not countering anything. This administration's not countering. He's literally just wanting full control over the individual rights of American citizens. So I think this falls into the same category. Any thoughts on this?
This is where people need to understand. There's a lot of misinterpretations of what is being said. They're saying $600 of what is being represented and reported from your bank account. The only thing I can find is $600 will be reported from digital transactions and digital currency companies like Venmo, and those companies will be reported to the IRS and you will get a 1099. This is a lawful act. 100% lawful act.
They're going after crypto.
They are not going after your bank accounts. That is not what this bill is going around. This bill is going around people selling on Etsy and not paying any taxes on all of their sales that they've been doing. And no, Gina, it's not anything deposited over $600. It specifies third-party transactions.
Is the libertarian trying to justify taxing?
Well, taxes on sales. I don't want to tax property. I don't want to tax on your income. I don't want taxes where you should be. But taxes on sales are lawful.
So I think one of the misinterpretations of this is that it was going to be on personal transactions. And if you go into your Venmo account right now, or I would imagine, Cash App, similar, there's actually there's like a headline you can click on in a lot of those apps right now that goes through and kind of details and explains specifically what they're looking for. And it is what Casey said. Now, could they use it sinister? Absolutely. Does it give them a kind of a way to peek in potentially? I would venture to say yes. I don't agree with it personally, but it is what they're doing is directed at people who are truly evading taxes, but specifically corporate taxes. So not like, well, I moved $600 from my account to my neighbor's account, or to my landlord's account or whatever. That's not what they're after here. They're simply after people who have started businesses and have taken in large sums of money over the amount of $600. And that is something that mainly from my understanding even was driven by these cash app kind of companies to begin with. It was something they wanted to not have responsibility for and liability to hang on them. So
let me answer this question really quick. So the car mileage, do you want to answer it, Casey?
I can real quick because I already went over it. It's on the infrastructure bill. It's a pilot program. It's not going to come out and just be on everybody's plate to deal with. It's a pilot program. They want to test it out. I announced it, a month ago on Truth Will Set You Free. I said, look, they will be doing this when we're pushing electric cars. How else are they going to make up their money from the gas pumps? They will have to tax you by mile. That is why the pilot program is in the infrastructure bill. It is going through 2026 if the infrastructure bill passes as it sits right now, because we know it will probably be amended and changed before it passes. But right now it's set to go through 2024 through 2026 as a pilot program, and they will see how it goes and adjust it. But the part that is the difference about that miles per gallon, mile tax, I guess is what we'll call it. Just
dollars per mile.
Dollars per mile. You're going to look at that, and the problem that they have outlined in this pilot program, nothing is outlined. They intend to get rid of gas tax. They have not outlined how they want to handle gas mileage, people buying gas versus people buying electric cars. That is not in the outline anywhere on how they actually do this. So this whole pilot program is super sketchy and should be.
It's expensive. It's incredibly expensive. It really does nothing. Honestly, I think all it's going to show is how much people with gas cars drive. I am super suspicious of what happened on the California coast with the latest oil spill. I think everything is. This one was not. There was no break. They actually don't know what happened. They think that an anchor swung and hit one of the underground oil refineries and caused it to open up. That's what I heard.
To be fair, there is coastal drilling all over there. I think it's not widely known, but if you go down anywhere between Newport all the way up through Long Beach and starting up towards Santa Barbara, there are hundreds of humongous oil derricks out in the middle of the ocean. So they're about usually about a mile off the coast. On a clear day, you'll see them. There's a ton of them out there. That being said, I haven't done enough research on the topic to speak on what happened here. But I think it should be known for a lot of people that although California is a very environmentally conscious state, that they have long used offshore drilling in order to produce the oil because California particularly refines it in a different way. And so there was and is needs here inside the state that drive that economy.
I think Tracy's thinking that we still have friends. They're doing their best to make sure that we no longer are friends with anybody. So then it's all a transaction. We're splitting everybody up. You believe in this? No friends here.
I want to point out really quick that pernicious government acts always start with a very sound logical origin. So saying that this is a lawful, especially with the $600 thing, just giving them that kind of access at that kind of level will allow them to move forward. The Patriot Act was just to pursue terrorists. We were just going after Al-Qaeda.
But we didn't define terrorists.
To start watching American people.
The Patriot Act didn't define terrorists.
Nope.
And so it included domestic and international. So you can't use that as an example in a direct comparison, but you can use as an example. Our country was founded on sales tax being on how our government will run, correct?
I mean, I just am against tax in general. So you're talking.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but our country was founded on sales tax to fund our government. So you can never tell me we can decline sales tax without just making adjustments.
All right.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, let's end there. So here's what we got. Final things before we wrap the show. Let's see. We all know the V mandates keep getting worse. If you have a child in California, guess what? If you're over the age of 12, they have to take the V, even though teachers don't. And the numbers, as I predicted a month ago, based on other countries, you can look at it. I mean, people call me, not smart enough or not well researched enough to to actually be able to make a judgment call. But again, for the 347th time, I am correct. The numbers would be going down right around now. And here they are going back down. Anyways, so let's get fee mandates. That's done. I want to make this statement based off of something that I don't know if you guys saw it in the comments. I put on there, nurses only. I wanted real life experiences of nurses all over the country. And nobody listened. I was a little disappointed in you guys. And there was some nurses that started commenting because I wanted to know how many people were hospitalized that were V'd and how many people that were hospitalized right now that were unV'd. Just give a general number and how many people were dying. Give me the percentages is what I was asking for. First off, people started saying a friend of a friend of a friend, or they said, I know somebody, or from what I hear. That wasn't what I asked. I specified again. Most people were nice. Then there was a couple nurses that said certain things, whether it was, 30, 70 or whatever. A couple nurses said, right now we're still at 8% V'd and 92% unV'd. People jump down their throats like, you're full of shit. That you can't. Oh yeah, are you telling you? If there's one thing that we can take from this, we obviously have a very conservative following. I appreciate that because a lot of you guys truly know how to have a conversation with anybody. But then when I called people out on it and I said, please, I'm trying to do something organized fashion, they were yelling at me and saying, F you, and saying, this is not free speech. I go, this isn't about free speech. You can choose to say what you want, but I can also choose to say you're being a fucking asshat. Plain and simple. We are trying to get truth, and we are trying to get information. And when you are unable to have a conversation, I don't care if you're right or left, you are part of the problem and not part of the solution. So if you are watching, if any of you guys, which I haven't seen anybody in the comment box, are part of that group, or if you see people doing that, say, hey, we're trying to actually find some information here that our mainstream media does not provide and people don't actually engage with. And I wanted real nurses, and you managed to make nurses. I got message on the side. Nurses took their posts down because they were being attacked. These were actual frontline nurses that may or may not believe in the V. Actually, some of them I know don't like it, but were being shamed on a page when they were providing the experience the individual experience that makes you no better than a far leftist. It actually makes you worse because we are trying to portray an image to create change. You failed. Israel Info is the best. Not necessarily. I mean, yes, it's good, but
Israel Info is propaganda. It's right-wing propaganda, man.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
I do because we keep using Israel as the, I guess, the example, but even Israel is having their issues with having most of their people vaccinated and still having breakthrough cases. Like, it's just another topic for right wingers to use. Who's actually like? Let's just be real. Both sides, we are getting BS. It is up to us to figure out what's true and what's not. I've seen many people actually get the shot and they're fine. Many people that get the shot, they're not fine. Many people that don't get the shot, they get COVID. People that get the shot still get COVID. Where's the truth? But yeah, both sides doing this.
Well, fun fact, Fauci was called on it. I did a little video on this earlier. He said, and they even admitted that they're no longer taking data of breakthrough cases, which makes it really weird that he's able to provide information. I was all over the CDC earlier. There is no way to look up really anything past the end of July, which is awesome in terms of actually knowing breakthrough hospitalizations, etc. There's a little bit from August, but you still can't match them. But he said, based on older information, you're 5 times likelier to get the vid if you are unV'd, 11 times greater if hospitalized, 11 times greater dying, which I found that very interesting. That means that once you get in the hospital, it doesn't matter if you're V'd or unV'd. Let's make that clear. If he said 11 times both ways, that doesn't matter. And then really, it's not, there's the difference between 11 and 5 is 6, but it's really only 2 times. So ultimately, once you get it, you only have a 2 times greater chance of being hospitalized if you are unV'd. So these are not those drastic numbers as said in the beginning. And when the reporter on CNBC, which I was shocked by, pushed him, he completely gaslit the conversation and moved it over to talk about the importance of the booster and said they're seeing great numbers on the prevention of transmission early data. Shocker, because same with when you took your first 2 shots. You weren't able to transmit it either for the first 2 months. It's all I'm saying is the amount of information out there proves that it should be a choice. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I was just going to ask a quick question. Is that unV'd without antibodies or with antibodies?
That wasn't clear because they don't have that kind of control data. They're not keeping track of this stuff. I mean,
if we tracked all of those kinds of stats, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
You know what?
Right.
It requires too much logic, guys. We can't
go ahead, Suni.
If people were actually being treated when they go to the doctor, we wouldn't be having any of this conversation at all. So this just goes on to healthcare professionals not doing their jobs of treating people who are having these symptoms. If you treat it early, there's no need for a vaccine. There's no need for any of the other shit that we're talking about.
Yeah, well,
this is why I say both sides are full of shit. They all have something to sell. And
we all need to remember that the emergency use authorization rests on the fact that there's no proven treatments that are. That's like the most important part in the entire document. When you want to wonder why America's saying don't take the IVs, right? It's because they're developing a vaccine that requires and necessitates the emergency use authorization in order to work. Like, there is an incentive for the researchers in these communities to be trying to get rid of any and all papers. And for those of you who think that the scientific research community is somehow still uncorrupted, I beg of you to go look up the James Lindsay and Peter Boghossian's work on the scientific review process. It is an absolutely broken process. There is almost no actual ethical controls to make sure that these things aren't being influenced and biased by top-down companies and everything like that. We can only look at the data at this point because there is too much incentive for these companies to be hiding any other kind of alternative research.
Truth. All right, guys, let's do this. This is the final part of the episode. So if you guys didn't see the post, I should probably bring it up so y'all know what I'm talking about. Let's see. There was over 1,000 comments. Did you guys have a chance to look through those at all? Because I've got my picks that we need to whittle down, which we'll whittle down on the show. We'll give some honorable mentions. Did you guys actually see it?
I scrolled through it. I saw some Q responses and then I just aborted.
I'm blocked from Facebook, so I'm not on it. I have no clue.
You're blocked from Facebook right now?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, right now I can't even pull up theirs. Apparently I've got too many things going on with my Wi-Fi. So what the statement was, the hell is it? Essentially, I was asking for why best answer gets free merch. Everything's going in slow motion. Sweet
Merc.
Mother Mary.
I'll just address this comment. Merc is coming out with a supposed
go for
cut it in half. We'll see.
$700 per treatment.
Today's message is that these lives matter also, right? So, if you want to go ahead and help us out and make sure that we can continue to bring you content, go ahead and hit our store. Go ahead and get yourself one of these very important messages. It doesn't matter where you're at on the side of health here, guys. Personal decisions, the only thing we have in this life. So go get yourself something that says, you know what, your decisions are important too, and I support that. And let our message speak for you.
So we're going to pay. Go ahead.
I was just going to add to that because not just to mention, like, hey, there's also a new treatment coming out in December. You have Novavax and you have Moderna mixing the flu shot with COVID. So you might see that happen before December to where, you get the flu shot, you also get the COVID shot. Great.
Nice.
All right, so let's see what we got here. So if you guys want to check it right there. So and back to the Merck question. What's very interesting, the Merck antiviral, it looks like a little combination of azithromycin and something that is an anti-parasitic.
Yeah, weird.
Weird. And how much did you say how much were they running that for, Kevin?
$700 a dose, and the way it acts on, my understanding is the way it acts on the vid itself at the cellular level is acting on similar A1T receptors, I believe. I forget.
Yeah.
But
No, you're correct.
The process it works on is identical to some other treatments that are being completely kicked to the curb.
Ivermectin. Okay. All right. So here's the comments. We're going to go through these, guys. I need you to listen because you all are going to be picking the winners. I'll watch for comments in the comment box. So these were the top ones of most creative comments. Help me out. Why was Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp down? What happened? So I said creativity counts. The first one that I liked was the bullshit was so deep that it finally drowned the fact checkers by Susan Minks. I like that one. Okay, go ahead. And if you like it, just make a little pen note on that one. All right. Remember the name. Write down Susan Minks on your own thing. Okay. Let's see. Number 2. Let's see. This is Connie Goen. Someone at Facebook made the mistake of flushing too many butt wipes in between incriminating documents. The plumbing can only handle so much shit. Okay. That was a good one. All right. And that was, again, Connie Goen, if you like that one. All right. Dee Dee Craft, she actually got the most amount of likes. Again, she put her comment in early. Biden was in the control room, saw the likes Trump was getting, tried to take them from him, but hit the like button instead, yelled, "Come on, man," panicked, and unplugged the whole system to stop his like from showing up. That was Dee Dee Craft. Very creative. 72 likes on that one. Jennifer Alt Capaziello. It was just a quote-unquote glitch. Nobody's personal information has been compromised. No one has been censored. And the fact checkers were triple-checking the facts. This was all done for your safety and for the greater good. Monkey see, monkey hear, monkey don't hear, whatever, that thing. That was that. That was Jennifer Alt Capazelio. We've got 5 more. Carrie Buddha Ross said it took its 3rd dose with some needles. Very popular. Got a lot of likes. All right, let's see. Matthew, and that was Carrie Buddha Ross. This is Matthew Channing Wisner. Trump bypassed the system and created a new account. They had to figure out a way to stop him from having an account, so they shut down the whole site.
Bruh, I gotta go.
Later, Sins. Tyler says, and again, the winner of this is getting shirts. Tyler Morales says, Tom from MySpace hacked it. I thought that was funny.
Yes.
I thought that was good. So again, that was Tyler. Tyler Morales said, Tom from MySpace hacked it. Nay had
to know what MySpace is.
I know. Nay had a good one.
I started MySpace. I was on MySpace before you guys were even on it. Russo, you're damn sure.
I was on MySpace.
But you didn't know how to decorate your page and deck it out.
No,
I was
didn't give a shit.
Playlist. Who was on your top 3?
Who was on your top 8?
I don't know. Okay, you guys want to hear nays? You want to hear nays? We got
Nay one. Yeah, go ahead.
Nay. Nicki Minaj and 5 NBA players came out as Republican and said Trump DeSantis 2024. Then 30% of each of their following followed suit.
Damn, she lost me with Trump and DeSantis. I would have said you won, but you lost me. I'm sorry.
Susie says too many people posting "Let's go Brandon." Susie Brighthought Adams. And let's see. Okay. I like this one. Last one. I think this is the last one I have, right? Oh, no, I got 2 more. Let's see. Tiffany Paul Appleton says, if Facebook dies, do you think it will be considered a COVID death? Totally unrelated to the reason, but I like that one a lot.
I like that one a lot.
That was Tiffany Paul Appleton. And then we got
the vote right here.
Yeah. I vote for Tiffany. I'm sorry.
I think Tiffany was my favorite as well. There was one that said that BITCH, and it was Carol Baskin. You can't say that's not funny. Damn, what is it? Oh, this is another one. Zuckerberg was giving. This is Jeff Ackerman. Zuckerberg was giving Jen Psaki a blowjob. I don't know. And then Dolores Smart says, "Does it matter? It's Trump's fault anyways." And Tiffany. I think that's it. Oh, here you go. Nope, that's it. All right, that's what we got. All right, what do you guys think? Do you have names? Did you put them? What do we got?
I vote Tiffany.
Tiffany.
I like Tiffany's too. It's pretty great.
Tiffany's the Facebook. So if Facebook dies, do you think hold on, Tiffany, if Facebook dies, do you think it'll be considered a COVID death? Is that what we're going with?
That was original, or the rest of them weren't. I'm serious. That was the funniest one to me.
Pretty good.
All right.
I was torn between that one and number 2, but honestly, like what Suni said, that one's more original. So
well, I was gonna do 2 people.
Let's do another one.
I mean,
are you saying number?
Speaking.
Are you talking about Connie, someone at Facebook made the mistake of flushing too many butt wipes?
No, it was the
Dee Dee.
Yes, yeah, that one.
All right, so Dee Dee Kraft is gonna get some. We're gonna get her a T-shirt. Biden was in the control room, saw the likes Trump was getting, tried to take them from him, hit the like button and yelled, "Come on, man!" Panicked and unplugged the whole system to stop his light from showing up. I like that. There was a whole backstory on that one, and then of course. Let's see, where is it? And then if Facebook dies, you think it'd be considered COVID death? Tiffany Paul Appleton. Those are our winners. If you heard your name, if not, we'll try to find you guys based on the comments. And you guys are getting some free from the store. Cool. All right.
Yes.
All right. Final
Very
words.
nice.
Very nice. Final words, Junie. What do you got?
Final words.
Yep.
Man. I had final words, but then they disappeared. I'm gonna be super honest. I'm just gonna say, please use your brains and make America think again.
Maybe we'll come back to Suni. So we if you think of it, you're there. Kevin, go ahead.
So Common Nonsense number 2 is coming out on Thursday, and I have a very special guest on that one. This wonderful lady right here. Her and I are just going to shoot the shit for a while and actually go over what's going on with our culture, just like last time. And it's going to be a great conversation. So catch us at Common Nonsense on Thursday at 9:00 Eastern.
Kevin, did you just refer to it as culture because Suni is black? I feel like that's weird. I feel like that's a little too much.
The fact
Russo.
that for culture to be black is basically.
I'm gonna have to correct Russo. Okay, culture and race do not go together.
Oh,
Ever.
No, Suni, he's trying to be inclusive.
Yes, this is.
Please don't go woke because I will disassociate from awake, not woke.
Please stop. Please.
Did you just see what I just did? I created equity by putting you in the middle of the screen.
Look, Anthony, I didn't say urban. Okay, Jesus.
What? Listen, now you woke me up because I really forgot what I was going to say. But all I'm going to say
Everybody
is
hit that mute button real quick.
stop being scared. I think men need to grow a set of balls again, right? And women, don't grow a set of balls, but also don't be afraid to speak out and tell the truth. Like, stop being afraid to speak on certain topics, because when you're afraid and you don't speak out, you have ridiculous bills like, "Hey, I want you to cut your nuts off at 3 kids," and then they're like, "Oh, well, that's crazy." So speak up. Stop being afraid. Don't be afraid to talk about everything. I talk about everything, and if people don't like it, you know what I say? Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
That's a butt crack reference. Casey, what do you got?
Oh, guys, it's along the same lines as Suni. Like, speak up and speak out constantly. Like, right now, there's so much crap out there. Like, we just went over Joe Biden's speech over telling the Republicans and that it's their fault why we're not increasing the debt ceiling. And then he got the most votes in history, and he was not creating division. No. Speak up, speak out, be local before federal. Your local matters first. So make sure you are going to be there in 2022 and making your vote count.
Oh, that's another shirt. Sorry, I sound like Primetime Patriots right now because I just thought of another shirt.
God, why did I come up with this idea?
If I don't get my shirt on the website by tonight, I'm going to put in my letter
of
resignation.
Your shirt's on the website. What shirt are you talking about?
No, it's not. You see, look, you guys are exposing how much you don't listen to the black girl in the group.
What shirt?
I have put in like 3 designs, and you're like, "Yo, those are dope." I'm like,
I
ain't even got my watch on, but TikTok
That's Casey. That's a Casey. That's a Casey
Oh,
thing.
No,
my letter
there
of
is definitely
resignation
not
will
a
be in
Casey
tonight.
issue.
What am I
I'm
not? Wait,
doing mine,
what am I
so-
not doing? What am I not doing? We already approved the designs. I don't know what's happening. That is not me.
You can't apologize for what you've done. This is hundreds of years of oppression you've just you've wiped.
Sunni's at the back of the bus now. Okay. All right. So moving on. Easy.
I will
Final
take all the
words.
diversity away from this show. Try me.
She's not lying, guys. We are about as diverse as my wall back there.
I'll kind of take it back. We had a really great guest on, Larry. He kind of brought some things into focus for me that I think are very important that we pay attention to. We have laws in this country, whether you agree with them or not, that can be debated. We can change them. We can make amendments. We can do all sorts of stuff. But not enforcing the law is kind of what's gotten us into a big mess to begin with. So I'm gonna take a hard stance on this and say, I think Larry's right. We need to take a hard stance on crime immediately. Now, again, I'll carve out for that. What is crime? I think we need to define that better. And that needs to have some light shown on it. But at the end of the day, if you're out there and you're hurting people, and these are examples I'll pull from California. We had a lady that was in the county that I lived in who literally had gone to jail for assault and 6 hours later got out and murdered somebody. So, when you have that kind of a crime wave that is seemingly out of hand, you have to go and you have to get after your local leaders, because they're ultimately the ones that have some say-so in a lot of the elected, and then ultimately when you get up to the federal courts, who's appointed. Is we need to make sure that those are the right leaders so they can make right decisions for who we put in those positions. Because crime isn't going to stop. The only way we can do our best to stop the open pipeline, in my opinion, to prison, is to get tough on the crime that matters.
Yeah, 100%. And for you guys, you're being very creative. I appreciate it. Audra and Jamie, you've lost speaking privileges for the next 5 minutes until you understand how to spell your. Youre. But anyways, I still.
And that is Russo's final words.
Not his final word. Know where the apostrophe goes. Know what.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sweet God. Oh, I just got moved.
You're now at the back of the bus. No.
Anyways, I also want to thank Larry. Larry was great. This is why we can't have nice things. So anyways, Larry was great. I really enjoyed having him on the show. I like having always a spice of life from different things. We've been talking about the same topics over and over, which is the same as mainstream media. We're beating this over the head, beating all the issues in this country over the head. I actually accidentally got in contact with the Conservation of States at an event that I was working. This woman had a shirt. One of my friends commented on it and was like, nice shirt. She's like, you can get it at conservationofstates.org or whatever it was. I was like, where did you say? Do you work there? So I think we're actually going to have a little bit of a connection with them, which is great. I think to give a positive spin at the end of this episode, when you look at what's going on in New York with Black Lives Matter and Trump supporters walking hand in hand, as weird as it is, it shows that when we start to find our similarities more so than our differences, we still have a chance. Larry talked about how we can start to fix problems. There is ways of fixing, but we are at a tipping point where if you don't get off your ass and start using your voice and stop leaving it to the people like us that have a couple hundred live viewers at a time, which isn't even leaving a dent in the massive scheme of things. It's the individuals talking to the individuals, and you will quickly find out how many of your friends have been silent and on your side this whole time. And we are much stronger together than we are separate. And I'm seeing so many people back down to the mandates. And I hate to be the one to say, lose your job if you have to. I have. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of you guys know that I don't have a lot of ability to work. I have found 1 month of work right now, but for the most part, my belief system and my status, my paperwork status, has kept me from a lot of things. And I strictly think we need to stick together, plain and simple. So that's all I got for you guys. God bless. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And make sure you check out the merch. Go to our website, and also for those V stories, just check out the link tree. I'll put that in the comments after we get done here, and you can find everything. Follow us there. We've got a whole idea on how we're going to be doing a subscription channel that will start out as free, so that we can have a completely free platform of speech Casey is working on later once he gets done with Sunni shirts. With that said, have a great night. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I had chubby fingers trying to hit the right button on that. That's why I can't use my left hand.
Yeah, I mean,
You haven't seen my fingers yet, bro. If you want to start talking chubby fingers.
Ew, gross.
Sausage.
Speaking of that, how's the girlfriend?
It doesn't exist at all. So please, let's stop bringing that up.
Next topic. Can we get the next question here, guys?
About it in a couple minutes.
When swiping right goes right.